system. So it's starting to fucking kill different ways that we've been targeting what's to come. And you'll see the funnel that's attached to that as well. But that's how much I value our next speaker is of anybody I could have had in the world in that room to help me figure out what's the next 7-figure funnel we build. He was one of the people. And now you get the opportunity to learn from him. So Myke Metzger, make your way to the stage. Let's give a big round of applause for Myke, the most handsome man on Instagram, Metzger.
How's everybody doing? So if you've never put on an event, it is one of the most challenging things that just about anybody can do. So like Ryan mentioned, sometimes that can come along with some challenges. These events can be challenging to orchestrate. You've got to manage and delegate literally dozens of different people, and then there's the tech side, right? So me being as tech savvy as I am, I can totally understand running into a little bumps. But the good thing is that I've got slides for you, and even if I can't get them working, I'm going to be able to get them working for you. So as Ryan mentioned, I run all of his Google advertising. We fill in for a couple of other things, and without my team, I wouldn't be able to do all of that stuff for him. So by no means am I a one-man show. I've got a lot of help along the way, but the way that I've been able to put all that together is over the past 5 years, I've spent every hour of every day learning this stuff. There is no way to become good inside of your business or with advertising without actually learning it. So what I'm going to do is in the next 45 minutes, I'm going to do my best to teach you as much as I can in a very simple and easy to follow way. Would that be helpful for you guys? Okay. So first, I need to ask you a couple questions because I got to have a good understanding of exactly who I'm speaking to, right? So how many of you in here would say that you're self-employed or run your own business? Just about everybody, right? Out of those people, how many of you are a business to business? You're B2B, you sell to other businesses, raise your hand. Okay, how many of you are B2C? You sell to consumers, you sell to your customers. And how many of you are like coaches or consultants? Okay, how many of you are a combination of those things? All right, so we're talking to some good people. So while our tech crew back there gets our slides ready, I'm able to allow you to pull up the slides on your phone if you would like to follow along with me. It sucks because you can't see the link. Yes, it's credibility. Actually, my book is in your bag, and the title of the book is Credibility Methods. So I know that I'm not the best at spelling, but if you guys are like me and you're not the best at spelling, my book is in the bag, and the title of what I'm saying is on that book. It's credibilitymethod.com/slides. And that'll allow you to follow along the slides with me. So that way you know what I'm talking about, because some of them have text and stuff like that. In an alternate universe, I'd sit up here on a computer and probably bore you guys to death and have you guys follow along with me and we could set up some ad campaigns. However, that's not very realistic. So instead, I'm going to point you in the right direction. I'm going to give you the basic information that you need to know on how to build the foundation of your business regardless of what you do. So you could be here today, you could be a fitness instructor, you could be a real estate agent, you could be an insurance agent or a travel agent, you could run a gym, you could be a DJ. It doesn't matter what you do. The thing about being successful and the thing about making a lot of money in your business by leveraging digital, right? Things like Facebook, things like Google, things like the internet in general. If you want to use these tools to create a successful business and generate clients, generate customers, then you've got to understand how the foundation of your business is supposed to work on the internet. So does anybody here ever feel like they get bogged down and frustrated when they're trying to run advertisements or trying to promote stuff on the internet? Does anybody feel that way? Raise your hand. Okay. So not too long ago, I used to feel exactly the same way. So when I first dove into the world of digital marketing a little over 5 years ago, I was right on the cutting edge of when everybody started talking about webinars. Anybody know about webinars? So I dove into all these webinars. I watched as many as I could from all these different people, different gurus. Some of them knew what they were talking about. Some of them had no idea what they were talking about. And I felt pretty bogged down. I felt like I had absorbed a lot of information. I had no idea what to do. So my goal today is to do the complete opposite. I want to give you a simple set of instructions, and the thing that I'm going to do is help you avoid the biggest mistakes. Because you're going to hear a lot of people give you instructions and tell you what to do over the next 48 hours. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to tell you what to avoid and make it really simple, so that way at the end of these 48 hours, you can look back and say, I at least remember 3 things that by absolutely all means I am not supposed to do. You feel like that would be helpful? Okay. So that's the thing, is most people, when they're running their business or building a website or running ads, they're just really running into very, very simple mistakes that literally everybody makes. So I'm gonna help you avoid those, and then I'm gonna point you in the right direction so that you know where you're going, right? So if you're looking at the first slide, the title of my presentation is How to Avoid the Biggest Mistakes That Keep 9 out of 10 Businesses Spending Money on Marketing Without Even Moving the Needle, okay? Does any of that sound familiar to you guys? You feel like you're constantly spending money and just turning your wheels, not really getting anywhere? It can be quite frustrating. So in the next 44 minutes, my goal is to help you avoid those mistakes, those big potholes, those big pitfalls that all these businesses make. A little bit of what I've been talking about over the past minute or so while we kill time here. So if you don't know what I do, I'll give you a little bit better in-depth explanation than Ryan gave, because obviously we handle his Google stuff. But I run a company called RVA Social. We are a full-stack digital marketing agency. I work with celebrities, influencers, big 8-figure companies, companies that you would recognize their names if I told you who they were, okay? So I've got a lot of experience, I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned a lot over the past 5 years, okay? So this is, this presentation here, it's kind of tough because I wish I could see it on this thing, but I mentioned my book, it's in your bag. That book is all about the journey of how I started from a legitimate idiot and turned into a consultant that people pay quite a bit of money to work with, okay? Because my journey was not necessarily an easy one, but I was able to make the change that I did pretty quickly. And when I speak a lot of the times, the number one question that I get when I get off stage is never about advertising for some reason, even though it's the one thing that I know quite a bit about. And every time I get off stage, people say, well, Myke, how did you get up here? How did you get to speak with Ryan? Why did Ryan hire you? Why do these people hire you? And I always found that to be the most challenging question to answer. So what I did was I sat down and I wrote a book about it, and that book is in your bag. That's my gift to you. So that's going to cover a lot of other stuff that we're not talking about on stage today. On stage, we're going to talk about advertising, building the foundation for your business online. And then in my book, if you want to figure out how I turned out to be a rock star and get people to, like Ryan to hire me, that's what you're going to learn in the book, okay? So let's go ahead and dive in, all right? So what makes listening to me different than maybe some of the other consultants and types of digital marketing people that you've listened to? Because there's a lot of them out there, right? You guys see the Facebook ads all the time, people saying, be a consultant, you can make $10,000 a day, right? That's not real, okay? So the thing that makes me different is I am not a coach, I'm not a guru. My goal is not to have you rely on me as your mentor. That is not my goal, okay? A lot of other consultants out there, they get a couple clients, they make some money, and then instead they change their entire business model and they want to convince you that they can teach you how to be a consultant. I don't want you to be a consultant. That is the last thing that I want you to do. It's very challenging, and if I went back, I might have not even done it, but I'm glad that I did. So we're going to talk about, as a consultant and as running a marketing agency, what happens inside of this business, the mistakes that I've learned, and how you can avoid them. Here are some of the people that I've worked with. If you switch to the next slide, I've worked with literally triple platinum artists, people that have won awards at the American Music Awards, people like James Arthur, people like Aaron Carter. I've worked with other musical artists like Sam Singleton. I've worked with people that are in the 2 Comma Club, whatever you call it, 2 Comma Club. I want to call it the winner's circle for ClickFunnels. Big fitness pros, obviously Ryan, my buddy Casey Adams. I know that Joey, he came up here and gave an amazing performance. He works with people like Casey, the kid's 17, has literally almost 500,000 followers on Instagram. When I met him, he had, I think, 5,000 or 6,000 followers on Instagram. I've also worked with internationally recognized brands such as Remax, Long & Foster, iHeartRadio. I've worked with United States congressmen. I've helped verify social media profiles for different celebrities and public figures. So I've got a lot of different experience. There have been people that I've worked with that I really didn't enjoy working with, and there have been people that I love working with that have been with me for years. So I'm able to cover the entire spectrum of what can go wrong and what you need to put in place for your business. So if you switch to the next slide, this is a little bit about who I am. I'm self-published author of the book that you guys have in your bag. I started literally one of the fastest growing digital marketing agencies on the East Coast. I'm 29 years old. I started this literally 2 years ago. I started my company, and I've been fortunate to work with the people that I've worked with in the amount of time that I've been able to make this happen. I already told you guys who I work with. So the good thing is you don't have to just take my word for it. So if you switch to the next slide, recently on marketwatch.com, they published an article saying that Myke is the secret powerhouse behind some of the most prevailing thought leaders that you're seeing on your news feed today. It was nice of them to say. Entrepreneur Magazine recently published an article listing me as one of the top 10 most influential young entrepreneurs of 2018. And my good friend Adam Wenig, maybe some of you guys are familiar with him, said something very similar to Ryan, and this is a reoccurring theme with me. My clients are not always the most tech-savvy people, and it is very difficult to not be tech-savvy and to try to rely on yourself to figure it all out. That's why people like Ryan and Adam and a lot of you in the room, there is no point in you trying to learn how to be tech-savvy. That is a very challenging thing to try and learn, so they rely on people like me. Adam said, it seems that everything Myke touches turns to gold. He's always been techier than me, and when I think of the true term digital marketer, I think of Myke. And that's a great thing to say also. So these are all things that build up my credibility and lead me to more clients and more people. But the first domino that falls over would have never happened if I didn't understand the things that I'm about to explain to you next, right? So you have to have a foundation. You have to be able to make a great first impression. And the tough thing is, back in the day, you used to go out and give business cards and do all that stuff, but you could only talk to maybe several dozen people at most. Now we've got the internet. We can run advertisements. You can create the most powerful first impression that you'd like to. It's just up to you to actually do it. So, how are we doing on these slides? Well, cool. I appreciate you guys for improvising along with me. So obviously, I've done a lot of things right. Okay, and if you want to follow along with me, I'm on this slide here of me standing with my beautiful girlfriend, Brooke. She used to work 4 jobs when I could barely even make a couple $100 a month. I think by the time I was 25 years old, I don't think I had ever had more than $300 in the bank, literally. You know, I didn't grow up in poverty. I grew up normal, like lower middle class, probably like many of you guys, so pretty normal. I was sick and tired of seeing, you know, gurus and getting to know them, and then the more I got to know them, I realized they were handed a lot of the stuff that they had. And this is why I appreciate Ryan so much, and for him inviting me here is because Ryan is one of the only people where I've read his story, and I'm like, dude, this guy's not full of shit like everybody else. Like, he has a real story. You know, he wasn't handed an 800 credit score and given money for gas every day. You know, he really built what he has. And like attracts like, and that's why I'm very honored and excited to be here with you guys. So obviously I've done a lot of things right, okay? Sounds like kind of a cocky thing to say, but I've really done a lot more wrong, and it's why I'm able to share this with you today, right? I've done a lot more wrong than I have right. So if you look at this photo on this slide here, this is me. I was probably 21, 22 years old. My priorities were things like chasing girls and getting drunk and going to parties, right? And I don't know about you guys, and maybe some of you do that. That's okay. But looking back, I would consider that person to be somewhat of an idiot, right? Especially getting into your early 20s, you should have better priorities. And if those aren't people's priorities, that's fine too. But things changed a lot for me when I became 24 and I started to realize that I couldn't be a bartender forever, right? One day I'd get fat and I'd get ugly and nobody would want to buy drinks from me and definitely nobody would want to tip me, so I needed to figure it out quick. So when I first discovered entrepreneurship and marketing, is anybody familiar with network marketing? I gave that a shot. I was not all that good at it, but thank goodness, because it was a gateway drug for me into sales and marketing and learning what I was doing. But when I tried that, when I got into just trying to work for myself, I was constantly hung up on, I was disrespected, people wouldn't show up to meetings that I would try and set because I didn't have the respect that I needed, because my circle of influence was wrong. It was the opposite of what I needed. I was hanging out with other idiots that were just like me. Just like I mentioned earlier, like attracts like. Would you guys agree? Me too. So I used to get hung up on all the time, right? So learning how to properly advertise and market what I was offering and my business and myself and my personal brand is what changed who was attracted to me. So for all of you guys that have businesses, you're working with businesses, you're working with clients, B2B, B2C, you're a coach, you're an influencer, whatever it is that you are, do any of you ever experience the problem of running ads and promoting yourself, and for some reason all the clients that come to you and want to talk to you, they just suck? Like, they just suck. They don't have any freaking money. They're just annoying, and then they pay you nothing, but then they bother you the most. Does anybody ever deal with that? Okay, so I used to deal with that all the time, right? So this is why your advertising and your marketing is so important, because by switching that, you can change everything, and you can attract the right people, right? But we're going to talk about some of the mistakes that hold you back, even though you already know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. You know that you need to do things the right way in order to attract the right people, right? So why is it that people get hung up so much? So after doing this for 5 years, here's what I've discovered. For most business owners, marketing is just an additional full-time job, and it's a huge burden, and nobody wants to do it, and a lot of the times this stuff isn't even fun, especially when we're talking about Google. At least Facebook, it's kind of fun. We can look at some pretty pictures and like kind of have fun and get distracted and go on the news feed, right? When you're advertising on Google, it's not always that fun. A lot of times you're looking at numbers, you're looking at basically a spreadsheet. And you can't get distracted because when you get distracted, you're moving away from Google and looking at Facebook and Instagram and you get nothing done. So a lot of times this can be a pretty daunting task, and especially if you want to do it right, it becomes another full-time job aside from what you already do as busy people, right? Has anybody ever felt that, the pressure of like trying to figure out, oh, I gotta learn marketing and learn advertising and do all this stuff. Meanwhile, Facebook's tricking you into boosting posts and just taking your money and they're like, oh, you're an idiot, right? So we're gonna help you avoid that. Learning advertising takes years, right? The average business does not have the time to dedicate to that or the training processes in place to teach somebody how to properly advertise. Would you guys agree? Raise your hand if you actually have training and a process in place to teach new staff and new members of your company how to advertise, how to promote, and how to make new sales. It's a tough one. And most people wouldn't say yes. Ryan's probably one of the best at it, and I don't even think that he would say, yes, I definitely have that in place. It's one of the hardest things to do, putting a process and putting training in place. And especially for advertising, people don't make it a priority. But that is the acquisition of new clients into your business. You need to have it. Oh, we're almost there. Most CEOs are reactive. I know for a fact you guys would all agree with me. Most CEOs are reactive. They're constantly spending all their time responding to issues after they've already happened. Does anybody feel that way? Something happens or an email comes in and you're like, oh, I got an email, and you go off and you answer it. Most people are like that, and that's okay. But if you can acknowledge that and you recognize it, you can do your best to avoid it. Providing knowledge and education through your advertising and marketing creates your biggest leverage in the most sales, right? So if you think about Ryan, he is legitimately a content machine, right? And a lot of you have spent money with Ryan, but I bet that wasn't the first opportunity that you saw was him just saying, hey, give me your money. None of that happened, right? He spends literally hours every day creating content. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, how does this guy even spend this time posting in the Facebook group and writing a blog and recording a podcast episode, plus he's got a staff to manage, he's creating new products. It's literally insane, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to match him on that. That's going to take all my time. I got to learn how to do all that stuff. That's really hard to do, right? It's very, very challenging. So I discovered all of this stuff the hard way. So because I'm here today, you guys get the little cheat code and you get to do this a much easier way. How's that sound? Probably be pretty helpful. So first, let's identify the hard way. We've talked about it a little bit, but this might be some of you right now. Spending a ton of money on ads that literally just don't work. Does anybody feel like that happens to them? They spend money on Facebook ads, spend money on Google ads, and literally it just doesn't work. You watch the videos, you follow the instructions, you spend some money, you're like, oh, I'm spending $20 a day, I'm spending $100 a day, what's going on? It's not working. And then you're 3 days in, you're $300 to $1,000 behind, and you say, I'm not doing this. I'm going to put it for another time. I'm doing something wrong. There's too many updates. Facebook is changing. What's going on? They're scamming us. It's whatever, right? It doesn't work. You spend money consistently on ads, and they always fail you. We're going to talk about why that happens. Another hard way to do things is trying to message friends and random strangers on social media about your products and services. Does anybody have a frustrating time doing that? Messaging people on LinkedIn, how can I automate this stuff? Oh, now I have too many messages and they're all kangaroos. They won't buy anything. What do I do? Right? That's frustrating too. Trying to message people all the time. You're only one person. You can only speak to so many people. It's identical to trying handing out business cards at a networking event when instead you could be at home running advertisements accomplishing the same thing. And you can track it versus where you can't track a business card. Make sense? Everybody following? Okay. Trying to find and hunt down new customers for your product or for your company, right? There's two types of marketing. There's inbound and there's outbound. Most people spend time on outbound marketing, which is where you're reaching out. You're basically hunting and fishing for customers saying, hey, excuse me, would you buy this? Hey, excuse me, would you buy this? Hey, excuse me, would you buy this? And you're hunting these people rather than setting up a process for them to come to you, which is inbound marketing. Make sense? Okay. So even when you kind of get that figured out, you get a marketing strategy or some marketing campaigns in place. What happens is you just blend in with everybody else in the industry because they're doing the same stuff. They're watching the same videos as you usually. They're hopping on YouTube saying, how to grow my power washing business. And they're watching the same 2 or 3 videos on YouTube that you might have seen, right? Makes sense? Everybody's doing the same stuff. So how do you stand out in your industry? The good thing about advertising is almost nobody knows how to do it. So as soon as you can learn just a fraction of what the others do not know, you will instantly be ahead. That is how I've grown a business so quickly and how I skipped all the crappy clients and went straight to the rock stars. So let's identify the easy way, right? Now we know the hard way. Does everybody feel familiar with that? I know that I have. So here's the easy way. You have an annual marketing plan and content calendar in place. Some of you might have this, and I think that that's great, but how many of you feel like you do not have an annual 12-month plan to how you market your business? Raise your hand if you do not have that. So look around. I mean, it's literally everyone. Well, everyone looked around and put their hand down, but no one wants to be identified. That's okay, I don't blame you. Nobody does. Nobody does. I mean, it's everybody in the room. It's a very challenging thing to do, because then it's like, well, oh, I'm not even figuring out my marketing and advertising for the month. I'm supposed to do it for the whole year? But imagine how easy it would be if you did that ahead of time. Imagine if you had an annual content calendar and a marketing plan in place. It would make your life a lot easier. Second thing, your friends and your partners constantly refer new business customers and clients to you, okay? Half the time I feel like I don't even need to advertise, because every time I do this and I get a new client, they refer more clients and more clients and more clients. And like we talked about, the reoccurring theme is like attracts like. So when you get 2 really good clients, they refer you 2 more. And then those 4 refer you 8 more. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, wow, that was easy. But you've got to knock over the first domino. And you don't necessarily need to be a coach or a consultant in order to do that, right? You can do that in your regular business. Imagine if you run a gym, right? You're not necessarily a coach or a consultant. You're not a B2B business. You're B2C. If you run a gym, knocking over that first domino could mean finding an amazing customer that's willing to give you a powerful testimonial because you provided them a good service. A shitty client's not going to do that. Somebody with low energy that's bored and lame and not going to do the work and they're lazy, they're not going to give you a testimonial. So when you attract even the right consumers, your businesses change, and that can be the first domino, and that testimonial can attract more high-quality customers for your gym. Make sense? Okay. So, let's see, where are we? New customers are constantly searching for you online, and new people are discovering you every day. How many of you sometimes feel like, dude, Ryan is literally everywhere, like literally everywhere, right? Does anybody feel that way? Raise your hand. Right? So this is what happens. We literally run his display retargeting ads. We run his Google ads. So even when somebody searches anything that's relevant to his name, he shows up at the top of Google, right? They could be searching competitors. They could be just searching his last name. They could be searching a book title, and we now control that process and who sees that process, okay? Another easy way, you stand out in your industry because you have authority and people know that you're the experienced solution. That's one of the most powerful ones for me, right? People literally just think of me as the go-to person. They think of digital marketing and say, well, oh, just call Myke, right? And it's like taking candy from a baby, and not in a rude way, right? But it's just become that easy because I've been able to knock down a handful of dominoes, provided a great service for them, they appreciate it, they give great testimonials, and then they refer me more. And then it just goes on and on and on. And when you care about what you do, you're able to make a continuing great impression. You bring in more clients who make more money, and then you can focus on what everybody is really here to do, which is growing your actual business. Rather than working in the business, you can work on the business. Make sense? Is anybody here trying to make that shift? You feel like you're just in your business doing all the shit all the time, and you're ready to finally work on your business? Does anyone feel that way? The shift that you have to make is in your marketing and advertising, because if you can change the way that your business acquires new customers and clients, then you can focus on the stuff that really matters. Because when your business is fed new people, new cash, new money, new opportunities, you can then feed that to other people, which could be staff members, it could be referral partners. There are plenty of people who come to me for stuff that I don't even provide, but I make connections with people like yourselves, with people like Ryan, so then I can refer them to people, and then I don't do the work and I get paid. How nice is that? So network while you're here. All right, so let's get to the meat of this presentation. I would love for the slides to be up. How are we doing? I'm gonna keep bothering you guys. All right, so we all on the same slide. We're looking at the one that says, so, do you want to avoid the 3 biggest mistakes that keep 9 out of 10 businesses spending money and effort on marketing that doesn't even move the needle? Everybody see that slide? Cool. Thank you guys so much for following along with me and improving and making this work, because I know that this can be challenging. But hey, let's avoid some mistakes the way that I did, huh? Okay. First, I got to give you a disclaimer, okay? I'm in no way, literally none, I take no responsibility for your own ability to get results in your own life. That has nothing to do with me, okay? Absolutely not. Not with my ideas, not with my information, not with what I'm talking about here, not with my book that's in your bag. That's got nothing to do with me. It's all on you. You can listen to me, you can screenshot these slides, you can write down notes, you can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what you do. and in the friendliest way possible, I could care less about what you do. But I'm willing to give you my strategies to move you forward just a little bit faster. Would that be helpful? And everybody agree that if you're sitting here, you're responsible for your own actions, your own results. You don't rely on the speakers here. They're not your babysitter. They're here to give you what they've learned. And a lot of the times I think people get distracted at events. They don't realize that people put hours into showing you this stuff. So treat it that way, okay? So that's my disclaimer. Here are the 3 biggest mistakes. Number 1, you are promoting your products and your services. And a lot of people, they look at me and they're like, well, wait, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I thought I could spend so much time and effort on these products and my services, and now I'm being told to create a process, and aren't I supposed to promote that stuff? The answer is no, you're not. You're not at all. We're going to dive into why in a minute. Number 2, you most likely do not have the actual assets that you need for your business to succeed, right? You've got you're your biggest asset, but you need other stuff, right? Who here feels like they're missing the stuff? It's a common feeling. A lot of people, like, you're missing the stuff. It's like, yeah, I got me, I got my idea, I got my product, but I don't have the stuff that I need, right? And Ryan's such a great example of somebody who has probably too much stuff, but it works in his favor because it's there, it's resources, it's leverage, it's an asset that he uses to increase the size of his business and the impact and the help that he provides people with. Make sense? So we're going to get you guys the stuff. That'll be helpful for all of you. Number 3, you're literally burning your advertising and your marketing dollars. I can almost guarantee it. There could be a few people in here who got a pretty solid grasp on their advertising. They're doing a pretty good job. My hat is off to you. But most people are not fortunate enough to be in that situation to where their advertising is just great. And even when your advertising is great, a lot of the times Facebook and Google and these platforms, they change stuff on you, and then it gets tough. Anybody ever experienced that? You're running ads and everything's going pretty good, and then all of a sudden it's like, what the hell? It's a pain in the ass. All right, so let's cover number 1. And these are the slides that have some text on them and why I put this together too. So look, just about every business or service provider out there has spent time and money on specials, on promotions, and ads, right? You all have an idea. It's holiday season's coming up. We're coming up with ideas. We want to push these specials and these promotions out there, right? Then they figure out who they want to put the offer in front of. They say, oh, it's holiday season. I sell, whatever. I'm going to put it in front of this group of people, so I'm going to come up with a campaign. I'm going to put it in front of those people, right? Sounds pretty simple. Sounds pretty logical. For the most part, you'd think it makes sense. However, it doesn't. The reason being is because this is an amateur method of marketing and advertising and promoting your services. It's a mistake, okay? Experts in the industry, regardless of what industry they're in, spend time educating their audience over an extended period of time. They take the time to provide knowledge to their audience and to their potential customers. And that is why people look at them as the authoritative figure in their industry. It's the same reason that people look at me for digital marketing, because I educate people the same way that I'm educating you now. Wouldn't you guys agree that you're thinking, oh, Myke, he knows about digital marketing? That's because I do. That's because I'm teaching it, right? So start promoting education and knowledge surrounding your products, and you will attract a higher quality buyer. Make sense? Everybody with me? So let's talk about a real life example. And this actually is a real life example. I had a client that was a wedding DJ. So meet your local wedding DJ. He decides to run a special promotion for the holiday season, right? People are getting engaged and getting married all the time once the weather starts to get nice and cool, and you got fall and you got winter and have these beautiful weddings, right? So busy season for somebody like a wedding DJ, okay? He offers special pricing of $500 for the first 3 hours of service. Retail is $850. Okay, so he says, hey, I'm going to give $350 off for the first 3 hours. After that, it goes to my normal rate. That's a great idea. I'm going to push this promotion because it's wedding season. All the DJs are getting ready to rake in some cash. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to give them a discount, right? So he's ready to get the word out. He boosts posts on Facebook. He uses AdWords Express. Anybody ever heard of that? Puts in some simple bids on some keyword phrases and posts flyers at the local busy locations, maybe the coffee shop that's always got a big line at it, right? Other DJs in the area, maybe they decide to do something similar, right? Does that sound like any of you guys? Maybe not the DJ part, but maybe, I know you guys mentioned you're familiar with AdWords Express. Maybe you're boosting posts on Facebook. You're like, oh, it's $20. It won't hurt. Oh, it showed 15,000 people saw this because I boosted it. Stop doing that, okay? He gets a few hits, right? Handful of people maybe message his Facebook page and say, oh, what's your pricing? Or, oh, I'm over here in Jamaica in a wrong location and you're not even there, so he says, I can't help you, right? You get these crappy leads like we talked about earlier. Maybe he gets a couple phone calls of people shopping around for pricing, but they're just looking for DJs, writing down numbers, trying to figure out who's got the best deal. And that could work, and he might close a couple of those clients, right? But numbers are not in his favor. Would you guys agree? You know, and if his acquisition, if he's only going to be making $500 to $1,000, he can only spend so much, right? And it's a one-time gig. Wedding is not reoccurring. It doesn't happen every year for one customer, right? When you get one customer, it's usually that's it, or they got to refer you to somebody else, okay? So none of his leads seem very serious or ready to hire him. Meanwhile, his real competition is spending hours creating educational content to use in their advertising, their emails, and on their website, right? So that might sound like, oh, well, what does that mean? Let me give you some examples. So if you guys are following with me, we're looking at the examples under mistake number 1. So here are examples of educational pieces of content that people can use, such as a wedding DJ, to bring in DJ clients for their wedding, right? So if you look at these examples, here are some real articles and content that we created for this client. An article titled, Most Popular Wedding Cake Designs of 2018. How to effectively include children in your wedding party. What to do when wedding traditions collide. I'm not talking anything about being a DJ at your wedding. None. However, the people who are reading these articles are my perfect client if I'm a wedding DJ. Would you guys agree? Do you see what's happening? Do you have this content in your business? Do you have this type of information, this educational information for your clients and your potential customers to read or look at or find or discover? Most people don't. We've already established that. Here's another one. 12 clever ideas you haven't considered for wedding favors. If I'm a woman looking at wedding favors for my wedding party, I probably need a DJ for my wedding, right? There's a pretty good chance. How to fire your wedding planner before it's too late. The proper way to decide on a wedding theme, or should you avoid it? Right, so these are all articles and pieces of content that we created for this DJ, and his business changed drastically. Because now he doesn't even have to say I'm a wedding DJ. When somebody looks at this piece of content, at the bottom of it or wherever on an ad, on a sidebar ad, on the banner for his blog, or wherever it is, wherever this is, in a retargeting ad. Hey, I'm a DJ that's DJ'd hundreds of weddings. I've seen it all. I've seen Jewish people fight Christian people. I've seen children ruin weddings. I've seen wedding cakes that look atrocious. I've seen it all, and I can tell you about my experiences. And in the meantime, I can give you a quote for me to DJ your wedding. How's that sound? Do you guys understand that process? Do you see why educating your client is better? It positions you as the expert. And you didn't have to tell them about what you do to begin with. You position your content in a way that educates your client and attracts them into your bubble or into your funnel or onto your website or into your email list, and then you've got the right clients. And then you are the decision maker, the ball is in your court, and all of a sudden, you've got a whole swimming pool of people to pick from that you want to work with or that you don't want to work with. And then when people say, well, oh, that's a bit too much, and say, no worries, come speak to me when you're ready. All right, here's the conclusion on number 1. Offering the right knowledge to the right audience will always position you as the expert, like we talked about. So by providing education through your advertising, you're removing the feeling of threat from your potential customer's mind, right? When you offer education, when you offer knowledge, the last thing they're thinking about is this person trying to sell me? That's usually the case is when you're just talking to somebody, or any of you guys ever get a message on Facebook that's just like, hey, what's up? I'm like, oh man, I don't even answer them because it's like, I feel threatened. I'm like, what, man, what? What are you gonna ask me? What are you trying to do? What's going on? What are you trying to pull here, man? What do you mean, what's up? What's up with you? Stop messaging me. I hate that. And yes, exactly, that's exactly right. So if you can avoid that and you can bring people to you, much better, right? Then they inquire through your website or they respond to one of your email newsletters, whatever it might be, right? So when you lower the barrier of entry into your funnel or into your business, you're making it easier for people to trust you and to buy from you, okay? Let's move on to number 2. You do not have the online assets that you truly need in order to succeed, right? So we talked about this, the stuff, right? So we're gonna help you guys get some of the stuff. Okay, so all experts in dominant companies have many online assets that are used to bring in more business. Wouldn't you guys agree? I mean, it could be a TV commercial, it could be anything. I mean, it could be a report, it could be my book that I left in your bag for you. These are assets, and it takes time, but you've got to build them and you've got to create them. So many people are busy building their business that they don't have time to set aside hours and write a book. I get it. But if you don't create the stuff, nobody's gonna do it for you. Literally nobody. Okay? Maybe a marketing agency would. So these assets can be in the form of a book, a case study, a white paper, an article, a Facebook group. How many of you guys are part of Ryan's Facebook group? What an amazing group. One of the best that I'm in on Facebook for sure. A podcast, a webinar, informational video, even an automated messenger bot. Anybody familiar with Facebook bots? All right. So let's talk about some actual examples. We'll really quickly breeze through these because they're simple, and I'm not here today to teach you how to start your own podcast, okay? But speaking of which, imagine if you did create an industry-specific podcast, right? That's some stuff, that's some content. You are the expert of your business. You can easily talk about it all day long. You probably do it anyway, right? I'm sure a lot of you will be talking about your business today. Find people, make some videos, talk to them, interview somebody, do something, right? Create some stuff, okay? Another example is being able to say, hey, I wrote the book on blank, right? You know how many blanks that Ryan can say he wrote about, right? Sales, training, a bulletproof business, social media, right? He can say, oh yeah, I wrote the book on that. I'm Ryan Stewman, right? Write a book. It's not that hard. Write an ebook. Next one, simple video. I don't want to tell you to raise your hand if you don't have a video for your company because then everybody would look at you, I'd look at you, I'd be like, what are you doing? So I'm not gonna make you do that. But you need to have a video that explains what you offer. Video is one of the most powerful mediums on the internet, and we look at them all day. How many of you sit on the toilet and look at Instagram for literally like 45 minutes and you're like, oh wait, I forgot I was even here? I do that, literally. Video is so powerful, like it literally captures us in. And the thing is, in a video, you've got the chance to make your complicated business seem really, really simple. And the good thing, there are experts that will create a video for you. And you don't even need to be in your video. When I first got into this industry and started as a consultant, I didn't like being on video. I didn't like my teeth. I didn't like how I talked. I didn't like how I sounded when I listened back to it. And I got over that. But then I learned better, and I realized, wow, I didn't even have to do that in the first place. I could find someone else. I could find a spokesperson. I could hire somebody on Fiverr to just make an informational video. So don't let yourself hold you back from making these mistakes anymore. You need a video to explain your business. Facebook group, we talked about that a little bit, but the way to grow a solid business, and this is just fundamentals, even aside from the Facebook group, the way to grow a solid business is by helping a large group of people with one common problem. Wouldn't you agree? Is anybody familiar with T. Harv Eker? He talks about the way to make a little bit of money is to help one person solve one problem, right? The way to make a lot of money is by helping a lot of people solve that same problem. And the way to become wealthy for the rest of your life is to help a lot of people solve a lot of different problems. And those are levels, right? And the big mistake that a lot of people make is they try to help a lot of people solve a lot of problems, right, when they're first getting started, and they get stressed out, their client gets stressed out, everybody sucks, your ads suck, and you're like, this sucks, why am I doing this? So just help one person solve one problem. The way that you can evolve from there is something similar to a Facebook group or a Facebook group itself. You could start a Facebook group, right? So think about it. The way to grow a solid business is by helping a large group of people with one common problem. By orchestrating a group with that problem to gather together, you've now created the perfect pool to fish for customers in, right? And a lot of times when you're the person who created the group, you're now the expert that created the group, and everybody looks to you for help and advice, the same way that we all, me included, rely on Ryan for help and rely on him for advice. Make sense? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a Facebook group. It could be a Skype chat. It could be a group text, right? It's the concept that's important here. So let's talk about the conclusion for number 2. These are simple examples of assets that you can build for relatively cheap or even free. I wrote that book in less than 30 days, right? Literally because I kept getting the same question over and over again. And instead of posting on Facebook, I just wrote it in a book. And then I printed the book. And that was it, right? And I know I make it sound easier than it is, but you get my point, okay? You need these assets in your business in order to bring in the right clients and the right customers. Not only are these types of resources fairly simple to create, but you can also tie them into your advertising and your marketing campaigns. I advertise my books. I advertise my articles that I've written on Influensive, and I've advertised my case studies. I advertise my videos, right? So you can tie all this into what we're talking about today, which is your advertising and your marketing, okay? This also helps educate your customer, right? Positions you as the expert in your field or industry. Start building and collecting assets now that you can use in your annual marketing plan. Because imagine if you had a book, imagine if you had a Facebook group, imagine if you had a case study, imagine if you had an article you had written, imagine if you had a podcast. You'd have plenty of stuff to schedule out a couple times a month throughout the whole year, and you'd be good to go, and you could get back to doing what you're good at, right? Number 3, this is a big one, and this is a problem that I know for a fact a lot of you guys experience. You are literally burning your advertising and your marketing dollars. Almost for sure. I literally almost know it for sure. Just because I've seen this so many times, and I see businesses that are wildly successful, and they're still doing this. They have marketing directors that went to college and got their degree and did all this stuff, and they've been working on marketing for years and years and years, and I meet them, and I'm like, what are you doing? Literally, what are you doing? It's crazy, okay? Most businesses struggle with search advertising specifically, right? And this is what we talked about earlier, inbound advertising. Somebody is searching for your solution. Best wedding DJs Chicago, right? They're looking for you. You're not hunting them down, they're looking for you, okay? But most people struggle to get in front of the audience that's already there. Everybody's always busy trying to create a market and create new customers. They're almost certainly already there, unless you're in a really weird business, okay? They're almost certainly already there, okay? Every business that I've spoken to that has tried and given up on advertising, they're all making the same mistake, and they're choking out their budget and the way that they spend money on advertising. So we're going to dive into this mistake a little bit. And if you get lost, the slides are there. You can go back later. I'll be around. You guys can talk to me later. But tell me if this sounds familiar. This is a hypothetical but very real situation. You have a $20 a day budget, right? It sounds pretty familiar to you guys, 20 bucks a day, decent little bit of change, hopefully make some few customers throughout the month, but at least it dips your toe in the water so you can test it out, right? 20 bucks a day, I'm gonna see what's going on. So you have $20 a day budget. On something like Google, your bid, $6 a click, right? Some of my clients are in industries where a click is worth $60. $60 every time they're clicking. Crazy industries like timeshares and real estate brokerages, financial advisors, like that stuff can get crazy. And depending on the city that you're in, imagine bidding on that stuff in Manhattan or in Miami or in California or here in Dallas. There are people whose pockets are so big that they will purposely inflate the bids to literally just waste you out. And you feel like, man, why am I even doing this? And then tools like AdWords Express make you think that it's easy to get in there and play with the big dogs, and they literally just take your money. The same way that boosting a Facebook post just takes your money. There's no objective, there's no conversion, nothing is set up for the advertisement to run correctly to say, you spent this, here's your ROI, here's what happened, here's what's tracking, right? This is why we flew in early, to fine-tune this process with Ryan and make it even better, okay? And that is the essence and the core of what I do and what my company does. And this is something and a mistake that I've seen literally hundreds of times over and over and over and over and over, okay? So what happens if you're spending $6 a click at $20 a day? You're getting 3 1/3 click per day, 3 clicks. So you're putting so much pressure on this $20 and these 3 clicks to create success for you, and it's not going to happen. Because 3 clicks, like what? Someone could do that on their own by accident. 3 clicks. You cannot rely on the success of your advertising on something like 3 clicks. And the answer isn't necessarily to tell you to spend more money. It's to have your advertising set up properly in a way that it can work. So the thing is, if you don't convert one of those clicks into a sale within 30 days, you lost $600 and you feel that your marketing isn't working. So $20 doesn't seem like a lot until you stack it up 30 days over. Then you're looking at $600, but it's not a holistic view of the month. The problem is in the day. You have a bottleneck in the day. You could get 3 clicks on your ad within the first hour of the morning, and then your ads are done for the day. Does that make sense? And this is what's happening, and you can't see it. You don't know that it's happening. Because what happens is Google and Facebook, they try to level it out, but when you're in a bid system on Google and you're bidding on clicks, it doesn't matter. That click costs what it costs, and when someone clicks on it, that's what you pay. And when your budget is done for the day, you're done advertising, and you're putting all this pressure on these clicks to succeed, and it's just not going to happen. This is the problem that almost everybody runs into. So the secret is reading between the lines. The secret is between the lines. So here are the things that you need to think about. And this is a slide you should screenshot if it's the only slide that you take home with you. Ask yourself these questions. Number 1, how long is your customer's life cycle, right? How long is your customer's life cycle? So in the wedding DJ example, that life cycle is really one event, unless you can squeeze a referral out of them, right? Most people only get married once. Some people 7 or 8 times, I don't know. But most people get married once, right? So if your customer, their life cycle is only one, that tells you a lot of things. Let's say I'm a DJ, I make $1,000 a wedding. Now I know what my threshold is of what I can spend. I minus my expenses, I look what I've got left over, and in the beginning, you're probably not gonna make any money advertising. The goal in the beginning is to break even. It's not to make money. You need to break even to figure out what works. Number 2, how much can you spend to acquire a customer, right? So if I'm a wedding DJ, I've already got my equipment paid for, I just gotta pay to get for gas to get to the venue, right? Let's say I make $1,000 to $1,500, I should be willing to spend that to get there. I need to discover what works with advertising, and that's what people are afraid to do. They're afraid to only make back what they spent. You need to be willing to only make back what you spent or even lose money in the beginning. You have to. That book, I advertised for $50 a day for 2 weeks, and I think I sold 2 copies. I didn't change the budget. I didn't change anything. I left it, and now it sells 2 copies literally every single day, just on a low budget, and it just keeps selling. Because it takes weeks for these tools to work in your favor. It takes time for these tools to optimize for you, and most people quit before that. So at $50 a day, I was several $100s in the hole before the book really started selling, okay? Number 3, what is the value of a new customer, right? So if you look at a different example other than a DJ or in a business like mine where people pay me on a monthly basis or sometimes an annual basis, I'm looking at the longevity. Because in my business, I could spend several $1,000s to get a client in, even if they're not paying that in month 1 or month 2. I could spend $5,000 to bring in a big client because I know over the course of a year, I'll make 10 to 15 to 20 times that. Does that make sense? So it varies depending on what your business is, but you gotta think about this. Think about a gym membership that's only 25 bucks a month. You should be willing to pay 100 to get that customer in and then work on your business to keep them there for 4 to 5 months or several years. Make sense? Those are the 3 big questions you should ask yourself in your business. Once you figure that out, advertising will become a lot easier. So let's talk about the things that kind of aren't on your side and how to overcome them with your advertising. Is this stuff making sense so far to you guys, or am I putting you to sleep? Everybody good? Do you feel like you're gonna walk away and this is gonna be helpful? Good. So look, the law of large numbers is not on your side when you have a low budget and when you constrain yourself to these small daily budgets of 5, 10, 15, 20, even sometimes $40, $50 a day. People like Ryan, people like my clients, they spend thousands of dollars literally every single day. And it doesn't always mean they're making a return every day, but it all comes out in the wash because the advertisements and the annual marketing plan is in place. It's a holistic view of the month or the year, right? Instead of just a daily budget. So this daily budget thing tricks people. When you do this, you don't have numbers on your side. You need more traffic. You need more opportunities to succeed, okay? So you can easily spend $20 on ads before noon today, and by limiting your budget, you're choking the flow of traffic. You turn off the ads, and you'll secure your $600 loss, and you'll feel like, oh man, that didn't work. I'm not doing that again, or I'll try something different, or I'll try this, or I'll try hiring that person. And people make these very frequent changes without just giving it a shot and doing it the right way. So what's the solution, right? Increase your flow of traffic on the front end of your business. Stop playing bidding wars with people you can't beat, right? I can't come in as a naturopath doctor and fight up against Dr. X. He's gonna drain my budget every time. He's gonna win all the traffic. He's gonna be advertising everywhere. I can't beat him. I can't beat him if that's me and I'm in that industry, right? I can't be a personal trainer that's got a few handful of local clients and go up against some of these big fitness coaches that have millions of dollars. They're gonna waste out your budget too. So you have to be smarter. You have to be smarter, you have to create the stuff, and you have to have a front-end content marketing plan, okay? So obviously, I'm here to talk about advertising. But what we're talking about today is the big chunk that you need to put ahead of it. And this is the foundation of why you are here. This is the stuff that you're gonna learn from a lot of speakers. You're gonna hear from some amazing people today, and they're gonna give you all these different pieces, right? I mentioned a podcast, I mentioned writing a book. There are other people that are gonna talk about this stuff in depth, right? They're gonna talk about building sales, they're gonna talk about getting press, they're gonna talk about these things. So I don't need to go into details on those. I'm talking about the holistic view of the foundation of your business and how you do it digitally, okay? So, as you go throughout the next 48 hours, I want you to think about what you can take away from each speaker and apply it to your front-end content marketing plan that you're gonna do all year long. Can we all agree on that? You guys are all gonna leave and do this, right? Okay, so look, if you can secure a lower cost on the front end, you're able to survive throughout the length of your customer's buying cycle while also being omnipresent at the same time. This is what Ryan does, right? He's got an annual plan, he's advertising every day of the entire year, right? And no matter what he spends to bring somebody in, he can afford to keep doing that because these customers stay a long time. So you need to figure out how to be really good at what you do, how to have a front-end content marketing plan, and how to use it to bring in new customers. I've literally done this over and over and over again, right? So we're looking at the slide that says I've done this many times. I've helped build, launch, and fix 7-figure webinars, websites, blogs, funnels, and offers for many well-known entrepreneurs that you guys literally know and watch every single day on your newsfeed. I'm the person behind the scenes that fixes all of their shit. So I see what everyone does wrong, okay? So, you'd be thrilled if I were to put these tools and processes into place for you the same way that I've done for many of my clients, right? If these strategies can work for many of the speakers and the people here in this room today, that means that you're in the right room, right? Would you guys agree? I love being the first speaker because it means that everybody after me is better. That's pretty exciting. So you guys should be even more honored to be in the crowd, right? You're here and you're, in a sense, at the bottom of the totem pole in the most respectful way possible. You've got everything to gain, literally everything. So pay attention when people are up here. You'd be thrilled if I were to put this stuff into place for you, but instead I told you how to do it yourself, okay? So I had two choices when I was thinking about, man, I'm the first speaker. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? What, all this stuff. And I wanted to cover the foundation, and then I had two choices. I could show up today. I could offer you a chance to work directly with me if you wanted to. For some of the people in this room, that definitely makes sense, right? For some people, maybe it doesn't. So I could say, hey, work with my team on your advertising accounts. I could deliver as much value as possible to a very small handful of you. Or I could charge a lot less, and I could help everyone with the one critical thing that you need the most before you even begin advertising, right? I'd love to say, hey, everybody, let's sign up. Let's get y'all on AdWords accounts. That's not real. I can't do that anyway because everybody's business is different, and AdWords is one hell of a project, okay? So I can't do that. So instead, I want to offer you the most valuable piece that you need before you even begin advertising. So the reality is that you need real resources before you begin to effectively advertise your products and services. That's what we've been talking about for the past 40 minutes or so. Would you guys agree that you need these resources? You need this content. You need the stuff, right? Does that make sense to you guys? Does anybody feel like they still need that? Everybody feel like they've got a plan now? They know they've identified the problem, or at least part of it? Okay. So I chose to provide you with the number one thing that you need in order to make your advertising succeed, okay? And that is the content. So if you're looking at the big slide, content. You might even be able to read that from there. It's the only thing the slide says, content. That's what you need. So what I want to give you is literally the $1 million content plan, okay? That's really good stuff in that sentence. $1 million content plan. There's no arguing, it's what you need, right? So, if you decide that you want access to this, you're gonna get an annual, fully optimized content plan for the entire year for your specific niche. It doesn't matter what business you're in, I've got a full team of copywriters that will create the content for you that you need. Because let's be real, I actually like writing and I still hate doing it. You know what I mean? Like I like it and it's fun, but when I gotta sit down and do it for my business, I'm like, this sucks, I could be doing better stuff, I don't wanna do this, I don't even think I'm that good at writing, right? The good thing is that I have a full team and everybody has different strengths. So we could write articles for you. We can create that content plan so that you have articles just like we talked about with the wedding DJ. And you can talk about these topics. And we'll come up with the ideas in collaboration with you and help you so that you can use these articles in your advertising and use this content. Along with that, you're gonna get a full advertising intelligence dashboard for completely free included in that. That's gonna allow you, when you do begin advertising, to look at the ROI in a very simplistic way. So that way you don't have to look at Google, you don't have to look at Facebook and look at all these numbers and all this stuff. It's gonna tell you very simple, here's what you spent, here's how many clicks and cost per click, here's how many conversions, here's the conversion value and the ROI. That's all you need to know. And then you know if your business is working and if your advertising is working. And you've got the guidance of somebody who's literally done this hundreds, if not thousands of times. Along with that, you're gonna get a business listing builder, okay? So this will be very helpful for you if you have a physical location for your business, right? If you are a plumbing company and you've got a physical office, You need people, when they search on Google, to be able to find your listings on Google, on Facebook, on Yelp. You need your listings to be aggregated into Alexa and Siri, so that when somebody says, Siri, find me a plumber. Siri, find me the most affordable wedding DJ. Your data is in here. Most people do not have their real brick and mortar businesses in a listing builder, okay? So we're gonna give you that for free. You're also gonna get a free SEO audit and a report on your website or your funnel or whatever it is that you drive your traffic to. We'll do a full SEO audit on it and give you a full report telling you exactly how to fix everything that's wrong and that Google is not picking up, okay? Next thing is I'm gonna give you a social media image pack, right? I like Instagram, Ryan likes Instagram, you guys probably like Instagram. I'm gonna give you a full pack of literally hundreds of different images where all you've gotta do is swap out the text and whatever you want so that you've got a full, literally huge folder of content that you could use for probably over a year. You can maybe even use it for 2 years. So it's a full social media image pack that all you've got to do is edit. If I were you, I would just find somebody on Fiverr, tell them what to change it to and what industry you're on, and you guys can do that on your own. They'll change all the images, get them back to you, and you've got a full content calendar for yourselves. We're going to include that for free. I'm also going to give you ebook templates. I'm going to give you 13 different ones to choose from. All you got to do is open the file and start typing your book. Think that'd be helpful for you guys? Yeah. It doesn't need to be long. The first book I wrote was literally 13 pages. You know what it was called? It's called the Credibility Book. It was the first step to writing the credibility method. So think about that. You don't need to make this big jump into writing your first book. You can write an ebook, and it's helpful. A lot of people downloaded it when I first did it, and it evolved into something much more impactful than that, okay? And the next thing I'm gonna give you is a presentation template, right? So if you guys can't tell, if you're looking at my slides on your phone, I like stuff that looks good. I like to make a good first impression. I love the fact that that happened, and I was able to say, don't worry, I got you. That's powerful, right? So I'm gonna give you guys a presentation template that's designed really well that you can open up in Keynote and PowerPoint so that you can have a pitch deck, you can have a presentation to share with your clients, right? You can walk them through it when you're over the phone selling and say, hey, this is the slide I'm on, just like I've done with you guys, right? So the total value of all of this is $4,225, right? A lot of you would pay that, but I'm not here to do that. I wanna offer it to you for a one-time offer of $997, okay? And you guys have a lot of time ahead of you. But like I mentioned, this is the foundation for your business, and this is something that you need, regardless of what you're gonna learn today. It's something that you need. You need the foundation, you need the stuff. And imagine how good it would feel if you already had the stuff and you could focus on things that people are gonna talk about that are much more important than what I have to share today. Imagine what people are gonna share with you that you can then apply this content to and magnify your reach, magnify your brand, magnify the impact that you make on your clients. So if you're somebody that's here today, you know that you need the stuff, you know that you need the content, you know that you need the foundation for your business online, this is my offer for you. The good thing is that this will open up opportunities for us to do other stuff. There's a lot of connections, there's a lot of powerful things that can happen in this room today. I hope that you take advantage of it. It's a one-time offer, it's $997. This would run you a lot more than that. A lot of those services are monthly, right? So if you want a dashboard with us, that's a monthly cost. If you want that listing builder, that's a monthly cost. You're not gonna pay for that. It's just a one-time thing. You have it forever, for life. We'll write all the content. We have some of the best writers. I've worked with some of the most amazing people in the world. So it's $997. If you wanna do that, go to credibilitymethod.com/Dallas. This is literally just for the people in this room. If you don't know how to spell credibility, it's on the book. The only reason I know how to spell it is because I spell it like 300 times when I wrote the book. But it's credibilitymethod.com/Dallas, okay? So let's wrap up here. If you're considering this, think about this. We all have disposable income, right? We all have money that we get, we spend on stuff we don't need, right? Bought a bunch of coffees, bought some gum, stuff that I didn't need. I pay for all kinds of stuff that I don't need. It's one of my faults. I'm sure that we all do it, right? It's disposable. I don't want to see anyone to debt or spend money that maybe they feel, right? I want you to collect the content that you need for your business, okay? We all have disposable income, plus money replenishes, right? Literally, it's always moving. It's shifting from different people to different people. Always get it back, okay? So, if you're thinking about an offer, you're likely one of two people. Either you're Khabib or you're Conor. Right? Anybody watch that fight? I feel bad because I'm a Conor fan, but look, you're either one or two people, right? You've been fighting bears your whole life. You've already for this moment. You're ready to get it done. You already knew you needed the content. You're going to get it done. You don't need me. You're just going to go and do it, right? That might be some people in this room. Or you could be Conor, right? You've been preparing. You're working pretty hard. But you're going to go in there and you're going to get smashed. You're going to get crushed, right? So trying to create content's really difficult. I want to make sure that I gave you that offer. You're going to absorb a lot of information. You're going to hear some information from some amazing speakers. I'm really excited and really honored to be here. I'm excited about a lot of the people. You're going to hear from Ulysses later talking about press. You're going to hear from Sean Whalen. You're going to hear from Ryan. You're going to hear from Marshall. There's amazing speakers, right? So I'm offering you a chance to let my team do the work for you. So take me up on it if you'd like to, if it makes sense. It's only $9.97. It's by application only, so you can fill out the app, submit the payment, and we'll talk later whenever you get a chance to come up and talk to me during one of the breaks, okay? So I want to tell you guys thank you for dealing with the slides and working alongside of me to make it happen. Very appreciative of all you guys. I'm excited to meet you guys and talk to you. We're going to have an amazing 2 days. My time is up. And I want to say thank you to Ryan because he's been amazing at offering everybody such a great opportunity and allowing me to come up here and speak to you guys today. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Myke.